Okay, are we on? We're on. Can you see me? Hey. All right. Yay. We're on. Hi, everybody. Zazoo Plazz here. Zazoo Plazz report. June 18th, 2023. We'll get going here. I'm at the other side this week. Let's see, maybe I can I have the plant behind me? But then you can't see my face, right? Can you see my face? I go like that? No, I guess I'm gonna go like this. All right, well, there's a bunch of plants over here, see? And behind me, there's a bunch of plants. So that's the flora tour. How about, oh, that's perfect right there. And you could still see kind of see the plants behind me. So anyway, technical difficulties it is this morning. It's 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock in the morning, and I finally made it out here. Still consider it kind of Father's Day, the 18th. So I'm gonna call this June 18th. But finally I made it out of the house. My youngest son took his dad down to see my son Ben. He has a place. He's 22. He has a place down near on the coast in Connecticut. Like, let's see, west of New Haven area. So they went down there to check out his place today. So that's kind of part of the theme, for Father's Day. And when your kids get to be 20, 22, 20 and 22, that's the age of our kids. My husband said he was just sitting there. They went out to grab something to eat after the younger one saw his brother's cool apartment and everything. And then they're just sitting there at the table. He's watching the boys getting along. He's like, they're talking about Minecraft and Toontown and all these, generational things. These video games they played when they were little guys. And not so little, Minecraft was, they still sometimes play Minecraft. But it's one of those things, the more I interact with my peers and we talk about the things that we grew up with, these are the things that they're going to be, they're going to have. And mostly it's, video games and, I don't know, the games they played growing up, the Webkins with the stuffed animals and the Toontown and, Disney characters and like guys in suits spinning around and blowing up and stuff like that. But, it dawned on me. He said all he could do was just to sit there and observe there, because we're both only children, my husband and I. So this is a new thing. Observing, and it's kind of like, it's Gemini season, right? The solstice is this week, the summer solstice. It's like a condition, solstice. Peristalsis, I don't know, it's the longest day. So I'm out here, I'm trying to preserve as much nighttime as I can, because nighttime is golden when you're, into watching the stars and you're kind of into astrology and writing and stuff. These are the golden hours for inspiration. So I'm out here, I'm taking a chance, but I'm out here in the dark, and this is when you get the good stuff. It's just you and crickets. Most comics don't like to hear crickets, but for me, I like it. So anyway, yeah, so, like I said, Gemini's all about communication, and it's all about two, right? The twins is Gemini, the twins. So it's all about bouncing ideas back and forth. And he said, watching them, he said they're going to be okay, when they're older, and even now, because they've learned how to, balance off each other's strengths, and complement each other in terms of, what they're very different, but that works for them, They get each other where one kind of spurs the other into motion, and the other one where they conflict. That's almost like a kick in the pants. It's like And that's where we get into astrological aspects like squares, you know? A square is like something that causes you to act. It's a like that. Whereas in opposition, it sometimes can be kind of like this, you know? Sometimes it can be like this, but more often it's, like tug of war. And, and sometimes one side wins and sometimes the other side. And sometimes you just go back and forth. But sometimes you can, you can give energy to the other side. You can take support from there. So these are all different things that I've been learning over the years in astrology, and it takes some time. But it's energy. It's all energy. So each sign of the zodiac has a different energy to it. So we're in Gemini, and what I find is fascinating is, every time I look at the scriptures, and like I said, I'm not preaching here. It's just kind of cool to see how often, the scriptures that I used to go in church and listen there, and I'd listen to somebody read them, and the priest always read the gospel. I'd seen some guy up there, and it was always the priest. There's always some guy, and it would, be read in a tone like this, reverential and sacred. And this is the way you must understand. And I'd sit there and go, oh, and I was, kind of, because they're words, okay? What we're going to realize in the times to come is that those words that were stuck in the book way back then, God is living, right? God is now. God is through the energy that each one of us has. If we think that we learned everything we needed to know back there in the way somebody interpreted those words for us when we were, however old we were when we heard them, you're not living. That's dead, all right? That's what, so, and the fact that societies have risen and fallen and gone to war over these words that somebody interpreted one way and somebody else interpreted somewhere else, is that really how you want to spend your precious energy and your precious life? This is what Jesus was really trying to say. And then we have, okay, he said, basically, I'm looking at all the different, and I see, it basically says, be truthful, the early apostles, I forget who did the first reading, I think it was Paul or something, Paul the apostle. So the people who carried on right after Jesus died, the first apostles, they were going out and they were speaking truth, like I'm trying to do right now. This is my truth. They were speaking their truth based on their time hanging out with Jesus. And they're like, okay, this is what you need to know. Speak your truth. Speak the truth. And it's the whole, God's word as the lamp and the light, right? So Gemini's all about that, about words, right? About our communication and how something we say by telling our story might, come from God, source, universe, through us to light someone else's way. So this is like why I started doing this, and I find it's been, good for me too. I've learned a whole lot about myself. But I hope it can be useful for you. It's somebody, might hear something I say. It sounds all gobbledygook. Which brings me to the song for today. But I hope it's entertaining. I hope something I say, rings a bell. And then there's the eye for the eye thing. The eye for the eye, and this one is really stretched way out of proportion. It doesn't mean be a pushover, be weak. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean if somebody's out to kill you that you're going to let them kill you. It just, no. What it means is eye for an eye. So, in other words, if you take revenge on someone who does something wrong to you, then that makes you just as bad as they are. In other words, that's going to hurt you you know, that person, life is all about karma, right? You do something, you get something back, right? So if you want good things to happen to you, if you do something back to that person, you know, you may have had in a past life done something bad to them, and they might have just done something back to you, and you're even. But if you're even, and then you go and do something bad to them, now you're in debt to them again, see? And then you can't, it's like you're playing a board game, right? Remember, somebody jumps you, sends you back to home, right? When you're a kid, don't you want to just get back at that person and, go and, like, get all their hotels and make them go bankrupt, and right? How badly as a kid did you want to go and jump them and take their, it's natural, right? Especially when we're kids, we're competitive, and, how dare you? I want to get you. No. So the thing to do is to go, okay, I don't have all the information here, right? What's my idea of justice? Is it going and being, like that person? Or is it just going about my life and being the best me I can be? And that's the best revenge, because then you come out ahead, see? And the person who hurt you will see you for who you are at your best self. And maybe that person will be inspired to turn their life around or correct whatever it was that led them to hurt you in the first place. See, because hurt people do things like that. So it's all in the perspective, right? So an eye for an eye. It doesn't mean that you should let somebody, break into your house and steal all your stuff or whatever. Don't encourage bad things to happen to you. You always want to manifest, the highest. But if you're asked to help someone, do it readily, because it'll come back to you with interest, right? It's like the pay it forward thing. Whenever you have the opportunity to do a good deed, to help somebody, it's always a good idea, and even, like you said, offer them the other cheek if they strike one, because that doesn't mean you should let somebody, beat you up, but it does mean that maybe you're getting paid back for something bad you did, and then, you don't know. Maybe if something bad, something bad happens to you, then the next thing will be something really good happens to you, right? If they sue you for your tunic, give them the cloak, right? Because that means when the karma turns around, a lot of people don't understand this. It's a little tricky. But, so I started thinking, and the whole thing about, people treating you as a deceiver, and yet they're telling the truth, It's always the opposite. But we should always be happy and praise God, praise the universe, give thanks to the universe, source, however you look at it. Because of that, there's always a light and a dark. And dark isn't bad. I mean, how would we see the movie if the theater wasn't dark? How would we, I couldn't bring my trusty lamp. I keep having to get the lamp back from my youngest son because he works on his car and he takes it. But whatever, I let him take it and then I take it back. But yeah, there's always that give and take, right? So his right hand has won victory, his holy arm. So I read that. You can look up the readings. I don't know exactly what they are. But the right hand, we had our first son. We named him Benjamin. Now I call him Brennan in the book because the kids were underage and I'll still use different names. But, his name's Benjamin because I was thinking, Benjamin Franklin. Because I got the idea this kid's going to be, like, good at a lot of things. But then it turned out to mean the son of the right hand, which is perfect because he's the oldest son and he's right-handed. But, and he acts like he's the king. So he's of that. But, so his right hand has won victory, his holy arm. So I'm not going to go into all that today. But I was thinking Ben, and then I was thinking June. It's the month of June, Ben and June. There's a movie called Benny and Joon, but it's spelled Joon for juniper. But Johnny Depp, whose birthday was June 9th, so he just turned 60. Can you believe it? Johnny Depp just turned 60. Wow. But I thought, that's perfect. And then the song that actually came out in 88, but they used it in the 93 movie. The song actually hadn't been released as a single in the U.S. until 93, apparently. The wiki page says, along with the movie. So then the song proclaimers 500 miles. You know, I would walk 500, fall down at your door. So anyway, that was song. So when I was dating my husband, that was kind of like one of our songs, you know. But we used to fight about it because he would say, you know, would say about getting drunk and, you know, getting drunk with you and, you know, going out with you and working hard for you and all this stuff to go along with the movie. So, you know, and so one of the words, because the guys are Scottish, you know, the duo, they're brothers. They're Scottish. And, yeah, the song got to number 3 in the U.S. in August of 93. One thing they say is havering. I'm havering to you. And at the time, we couldn't look up lyrics online. And it's havering. I thought it was like heavering, like heaving. Like after you get drunk, you know, you heave. And he thought it was something else. Heaving or heaving, like carrying something heavy, you know, heave-ho. Neither of us was right, apparently. It was havering, which means talk nonsense, which is something Gemini does pretty easily. But yeah, so and it's Father's Day weekend, and it's perfect. I look up the lyrics, and it's like it's like 300 da 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 da. I said, oh wow, that's perfect. You know, my first 2 words were Dada, which didn't make my mother very happy. But apparently the babies, you know, when you're first learning to speak, D's come out, da 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 da, better than mom. So, you know, it was Dada, and then it was quack quack, because I like ducks. I used to chase ducks around. They used to take me to Elizabeth Park in Hartford as a little kid, and they had a beautiful rose garden. In June, they used, you know, and they had ducks walking around. So I have a picture of myself in a little, you know, probably a year and a half or something, 2, in a, you know, one of those little outfits. It was like sleeveless top and a little, sort of like little shorts, bunchy shorts, and little white socks and, you know, little kids chasing the duck. Going quack, quack, quack. Fortunately, my parents took a picture. It came out color. It came out pretty good. So I'll try to find that. But anyway, of course, my dad, you know, as a girl, only child, my dad was my hero. You know, he could do no wrong. And it's, you know, I think the dad, you know, he's working hard. He'd come home and, you know, it was all for us. And I would greet him at the door, and Daddy, you know, and his briefcase, the big square brown briefcase with the little snaps would pop up. And I used to play with it, like the little, later I got him an L.O. Bean soft side briefcase. It was like a zipper one, you know, he could put his papers in there, and later my husband got me one too. But I think with me our computers still didn't have the skinny laptops when I had mine, but I was systems consulting, so I had all kinds of like discs and things. So it wasn't a laptop bag, but it was, you know, the early ones. I put my Franklin planner in there. Remember the Franklin planner? My dad was my inspiration to go into business. You know, I didn't realize that I'd get sick of business by the end, like 99, and want to do something else. But, you know, I wanted to grow up and be like Dad and go and work on computers. He was one of the first programmers working in the lab. He took me. There's a picture of me and the three of us, my mom and I and Dad, were sitting in this room with this supercomputer, and I'm sitting at the keyboard and it's like this big, and I'm like, my mouth is open. I can't believe this wonderful technology, and the computers are all, they took up the whole room. It was like 20 degrees in there. But it was like it was like his holy temple. He'd go in there and he knew where everything was. And, Dad, they'd call him in the middle of the night, say, come and fix the computer, Ray. And my dad's name is Raymond. It would break, and he'd be the only one to know how to fix stuff. So they'd call him up, he'd go in, he'd walk 500 miles. No, he'd drive to, he'd had, but it was a good 30, 40-minute drive to get, we were east of the Connecticut River. His job was way over past Hartford, and way over in Farmington, Farmington is off, it's a good probably 15 minutes past Hartford, and then with traffic, So, it wasn't the glamorous life that I had imagined it was, which I found out when I started in the business world. But anyway, that was an adventure I had to have for myself. And it didn't turn out 30 plus years with the same company, and then it did take me into systems consulting, which is something he got into in his 60s, or into his 70s even, after he retired from the other place, because my dad is a very restless person. It suited him well, and I take after him that way. I like to kind of keep it moving, meet new people, do new things, and then if you screw up in one place, no, I never would, but people, I'd go in, I'd swoop in, I'd solve the problem, save the day, and then I could just get out of there before they got tired of having me around, which, inevitably there'd be somebody who would, find something wrong with whatever I did. That's kind of like the apostles. Here they go in, they save the day, they get, and then they get persecuted and chased out. Chased off the mountain by people who are not appreciative of what they have to offer. Anyway, so that's my little tribute to Dad. Havering, nonsense, babbling. I never do that. Anyway, so the Proclaimers, 1988. So I guess the bottom line, oh, there's the ducks. I woke them up. So I guess the bottom line is, the right way to do Gemini season is to talk a little, listen a little, find your crew, who get you. Your buddy, somebody who, has walked a similar path or is going where you're going, and try to look at each person as an opportunity. Each person you meet on your path has something, like in the Celestine prophecy, where the guy goes and he meets, and everything is a serendipitous occasion. Every person, if you're interested in something, that's the reason. That's something you should check out. It's part of Gemini. It's like, what rings your bell? What? So, I should say something about that Benny and Joon movie. I didn't see the whole thing, but so what's interesting is that Johnny Depp's character is kind of based on this sort of like the silent movie, physical comedy, like Buster Keaton, I guess, was sort of like Charlie Chaplin too. Charlie Chaplin. The kind of, silent movie. He's got the potatoes, and I did see that. Making the girl laugh, because this girl has, she's got some kind of, she's emotionally, she's some kind of, um, uh, um, it doesn't exactly say what it is, but she's troubled. She's got something going on, and her brother, Benny, I guess, is taking care of her. And so often is the case, when someone is sort of it's someone's taking care of a relative. And I know people who, still now they feel responsible for a sibling, um, and have also gone into that kind of work because they have a brother who's, is mentally challenged in some way, or, has a certain disability, learning disability, and that's their purpose in life. I mean, that lights them up. But every now and then, somebody will come along, and what you need is, as a caregiver, you need a break, and you need to these people. It helps to have a sort of a third party to come in and make you laugh, to make you realize it doesn't need to be so serious. And sometimes laughter and a little love go a long way, to making someone who's struggling feel normal, feel like, not feel like there's something wrong with them, right? Why, there was that movie with Robin Williams, right? Patch Adams, I think it was called. I could be wrong about that. But he goes in, and he's a clown, and the children are in the hospital, and they're sad, and he makes them laugh. And it's universal, right? Because if someone is the martyr type, right? You know the type, who's, they take their jobs very seriously. But sometimes what they need is to laugh and loosen up. And those kind of people aren't able to do that, too easily. So what you need is somebody like a Sam, played by, Johnny Depp here, who comes in and, he's swinging outside the building. He says, you need the crazy, and what do people call crazy? Right? What does that word mean? Does it mean, really, it's the sage, right? The comic, the fool, is the sage. Because when you're able to transcend all these things, all these heavy, heavy problems, if you see them as problems, you're doomed, right? If you see them as opportunities to jump ahead and win the game, bring it on, right? And have fun while you're doing it. Crack some jokes. Find someone who can make you laugh. And that person will make light work of everything, because they're a light worker, right? You make light of it. Not that you need to make light of serious issues that people are facing. That's not what I mean. But how often do you feel, like, oh, everything, you feel like the world is, conspiring against you. And you listen to some comedy, right? Someone tells a joke, or you see a funny meme, or, just a funny story. Watch a funny movie. Don't you feel better, right? Because what it does is it, takes you above to see that it's all temporary. It's all shall pass. And really, that which uplifts the soul, right? It's got to help everything else, right? It puts you at ease, so that it fights disease. Attitude is everything. If you can switch the way you're looking at life to rejoicing, rejoicing at all the stuff that you think is going wrong. It's amazing how quickly things will turn around. And that's all I have to say for today. True Gemini fashion. I'll probably have something else to say next week. It could be something completely different. But anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna go and enjoy the chicken fajitas I made last night. Yeah, that's gonna be good. Maybe some chips and salsa. Little salsa. So until next week, enjoy the summer solstice. Solstice. Do a little dance. Make it look okay. Anyway, do something fun. Dance with the potatoes. You know, do a little dance. Be silly. Have fun. Till next week, Zazoo Plazz signing out. Take care. Bye-bye.